Centuria is a new dark fantasy manga that you can read on the Manga Plus app. Authored by Toru Kuromori, this action manga is steeped in dread and darkness, trauma, and despair. Julian is a stowaway on a slave ship set towards the great continent. It's during this odyssey that he learns about paternal love from fellow slave Mira, a woman who's very pregnant and obvious doom bait. The first few chapters of Centuria plays out like a lighthearted, shonen-filtered cross between Berserk and Vinland Saga. The art is coming from a very dark corner, but the reactions and dialogue from the characters are all very shonen-esque, bringing a lightheartedness that you wouldn't find in those aforementioned series. The series has only been running for 10 chapters, so it's still too soon to say if it's bad or not, but seeing as this is a Shonen Jump Plus series, the pacing is going to be very different compared to other recent dark fantasies like Kagurabachi or Dear Anemone. However, I've seen enough so far to determine if I'm going to enjoy this style of fantasy manga. There's a few things about this series that I really don't like. First off, the art overall. It's not that good looking. Characters are too curvy, cutesy, bubbly? I'm not sure, but even the fight scenes, they don't really attract that much wonder or wow. Julian fighting off the sea monsters was exciting, and I thought the mangaka was extremely capable at illustrating the fear of the depths of the ocean, what with all the darkness and lack of any illumination aside from speech bubbles, in addition to the haziness of poison afflicting the body. But then the fight against the forest creatures on land was very boring and, to be honest, extremely plain, almost unrecognizable compared to the earlier chapters. Julian definitely needs to use some form of weapon, whether it's long range or close. When he gets cut up or maimed, that's illustrated well. Double spreads are also done very good here. Absolutely engaging. I think the double spreads are the highlights of most chapters, to be honest. But when you have a character that has a fantastic type ability like Julian does, a healing / resurrection one at that, then it's important for the author to put that character in situations where they can maximize their ability. Otherwise, battle scenes are going to be very boring. This is why late stage Berserk looks so great compared to earlier battles in the series. It's because Guts has now built up a really great toolbox that Moira was able to flex with at any occasion. For Centuria, I really do believe that Julian should have had some form of weapon right now aside from that dagger that he received from Mira. He is not a character that can punch his way to victory. Hopefully this is something that the mangaka can build upon. The dialogue is really clunky. It just feels like typical shonen statements thrown out just so it can keep the attention of the reader. I wish Julian had a bit more of an edge to him. He's just way too positive and sensitive and fluffy. I would like to see some more trauma dumping and a bit more of an asshole persona emerge from within. He doesn't seem to be very fazed by the fact that he has all of these additional scars on his body. I'm not even sure if he can see out of his right eye or not, but taking into consideration what his ability actually does and the great sacrifice that was involved for him to carry on with his life, I would like to see him express some form of guilt or pain a bit more often. I do like the dynamic that he has being Diana's new foster father, but I also want to see more personality distress in regards to their relationship. Supporting characters like TT and Angval are also just as fluffy. Their dialogue is also stunted. And yeah, I get this is still a new series, but I'm not sure how much longer it can dawdle with the development of these characters. There isn't much that's really gripping me right now, and I feel like this is a problem with a lot of the Tatsuki Fujimoto assistants. Their mangas come out and they're always hyped up because of how popular Chainsaw Man is, but a lot of these series, they feel very underbaked. like they were only greenlit because of how quirky or dark or grim they were pitched as. But in reality, these are just run-of-the-mill manga series from mangaka that aren't really that special or unique, at least not like how Fujimoto is. That being said, I do enjoy the story so far and how Julian got his resurrection powers. I also like that he does have a lot of scars on his body and it doesn't fully recover to the point of brand new, at least not right away. I'm looking forward to seeing the extent of his abilities and the development of his combat skills. Hey, hats off to the mangaka for recognizing this as a unique angle for a dark fantasy manga. Another thing that I'm a bit unsure of is the amount of exposition. This ties a bit into the writing aspect that I had a problem with, but exposition also in the way of how characters are drawn. Angvo was obviously a female. Of course, it was a fucking female. The gigantic knight whose body is hidden for some time is always revealed to be a woman. At least this universe's Brienne of Tarth actually looks hot. I also feel that this is a very obvious tell that all of the characters being introduced now are more than likely going to die. Their deaths will help fuel Julian's journey forward with Diana. I don't know. I don't like to play Mr. Fanfic, but there are so many obvious tells that additional trauma and tragedy is just around the corner. Perhaps another time jump would do this series some good, which would also give the mangaka a great excuse to make the stakes more dire, the series more mature, the setting even darker than it already is. Hey, that's what I see. I don't know if the plot's actually going to go in that direction or not. Centuria seems to have the same flaws that Dear Anemone has. These are good manga that have settings that don't lend themselves well to typical shonen tropes. Shonen really hasn't changed over the last 2 or so decades. The power of friendship will always reign supreme, and younger readers like to see assholes in dire situations from their favorite characters. Those sorts of writing devices don't work well within mature dark fantasy settings. Darker series tend to be rooted in some form of reality and drama and suspense and unexpected moments. You can't be unexpected when it comes to a shonen. You have to be predictable, and the predictable nature of Dear Anemone is why it's about to fail. If Centuria also adopts a predictable nature, I don't think it'll get cancelled as quickly as Anemone, but I don't see it catching on. I'm looking forward to the next few months to see what direction the mangaka takes this series in. And you know what? I think it is going to improve. If you're into Berserk, Vinland Saga, Claymore, and are looking for something a bit fresh, a bit lighter in tone, then give Centuria a shot. It's okay, not really my thing, but I think it definitely will get better. 5 out of 10.